Welcome to the Dr. John Char Holistic Health Show. In the last show, we talked about cardiovascular diseases and some of the factors that can create the scenario of the heart disease. In this show, we're going to be talking about the 17 daggers that contribute to heart diseases. So, first thing, let's give you some statistics. You know that every 30 seconds, someone is dying in America from a heart attack. 1 out of 4 Americans have signs or symptoms of heart attacks or heart diseases, and they don't even know about it. There's 613,000 Americans since 2008 that have cardiovascular diseases, of which all ethnic groups are involved. And the Asians have the cardiovascular diseases second to cancer. 1/2 of these people dying from cardiovascular diseases are women. Now, the big problem is, how do we circumvent 17 of these independent heart attack factors? Okay. So let's talk about the risk factors first. High cholesterol seems to be at the top of the list. High blood pressure, diabetes too, cigarette smoking, overweight and obesity, poor diet, and physical inactivity, and lastly, alcohol use. So let's differentiate between what is a high blood pressure and hypertension. Is hypertension synonymous with high blood pressure? It is not. Again, I'm saying it's not. It is linked to that, but it's not synonymous with that. There is some studies going on right now that trying to define what is the origin of high blood pressure and hypertension. And so far, they haven't conclusively come up with the facts that each one of them comes from cholesterol or other factors, such as poor diet. There are multiple things that cause it. It can be from 4 major areas, and that can be a general term called stress. And these stresses can be in a form of spiritual stress, can be mental stress, can be emotional stress, and most of all, we recognize now is physical stress because we feel it, we see the symptoms that's related to physical ailments. So, let's talk about the hypertension. And hypertension, like I told you, is not synonymous with high blood pressure. And the physiopathology means physical, and pathology is not fully understood. So, let's talk about those 17 things that can cause the heart diseases. And those 17, starting off, the number one is called excess LDL and total cholesterol. So that you do it on blood test, you'll find that out. So if you took this and you got these readings from your blood tests, you will see that the total cholesterol should be within the range of 160, 180, okay, milligrams and deciliters, or 50 to 99 milligrams and deciliters of LDL or low density lipoprotein. Okay, that's the range. Now, if you fall out of the range, then you have to. They say, okay, let's take a drug. Okay, so what is low density LDL and transport? Well, low density LDL transport cholesterol from the liver to the cells throughout the body, where the cholesterol provides numerous life-sustaining functions. As people age and or consume wrong foods, LDL and cholesterol levels tend to increase to the point whereby they cause or contribute to development of atherosclerosis or hardening of the blood vessels. Thus it is important to maintain total cholesterols and LDL levels in optimal ranges. I gave you the optimal ranges. And some of the statin drugs, okay, can be simvastatin or pravastatin. And so, since we don't use drugs, what is the option? We can give niacin, but a lot of people cannot take niacin because they flush, okay? And so we give non-flush niacin, see? And that will significantly lower your cholesterol levels and LDL levels, okay? There's also other things you can give like psyllium, glutamine, pectin, that will help you to coat the small intestine walls, the glutamine and pectin, and that will slow down the excess of sugar going into your system in the bloodstream. Okay. Theoflavin is another one that you can take. And so there's many things also Ervingia, they have that. You can give 150 milligrams twice a day. So that's we were just talking about LDL and cholesterols. And what about the diet? So some people can't take this diet, too stringent for them. Very low fat diet or very low calorie diet. So you have to go ahead and adjust that diet to their body's ability to take that in, or else the people will go into stress, a lot of stress, and they cannot take that diet. Okay, so what happens on the next one is called risk number 3, and that is called low HDL. Low HDL. And the blood level, the optimum blood level is over 50 to 60 milligrams or deciliter of HDL. Okay, so what is HDL? High density lipoprotein functions. Okay, and it protects against arteriosclerosis, including removing cholesterol from the arterial wall for disposal in the liver. Okay, the technical term of this removal of cholesterol is called reverse cholesterol transport. Okay, so we're not going to talk about the drugs because those are statin drugs they use, but they only provide slight increases in HDL, which is needed in the body. So what we're doing now is let's talk about some nutrients. Again, niacin's pretty good. And another one is called Indian gooseberry fruit, called Amlamax. Okay. And then there's other things you can take to increase the HDL, and it's in the dietary area, and that's eating cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, watercress, and cabbage. Okay, so those you can use in your diet, especially if it's fresh, right? All right. So the next factor, which is the daggers on heart attack risk, is called excess glucose. And what is the blood level? Excess glucose. Okay, so we're going to look at excess glucose in this, but we're going to go ahead and get off this, and we're going to be talking about excess glucose. So what is the optimum blood level? It's under 86 milligrams or deciliter of fasting glucose. Okay, fasting glucose, all right. And so they say that the scientific study indicates that any amount of fasting glucose over 85 milligrams or deciliter incrementally adds to heart risk. Okay, so the nutrients of choice would be that they call it alpha glucose, they call glucosides inhibitors. Okay. Now, what is that? Okay. So that's the one that can reduce your triglycerides and your abdominal fat by as much as 1.5. And that is the usually people take the white kidney bean extract. That's a white kidney bean extract. You can take that. And other ones is ingestion of insoluble fibers such as oak beta-glucan, psyllium or guar gum or pectin or glucomannan. Very similar to what I've told you before for the cholesterols. All right? And that can significantly reduce fasting glucose and post-meal insulin release. Okay. So the next topic of concern would be to tell you what kind of supplements you can use. Well, one of the things you can use is chromium. Chromium can improve insulin sensitivity and lower fasting glucose. Ervingia extract, which I told you about, 150 milligrams twice a day. It has beneficial changes that can make changes in fasting glucose, especially in losing weight over a 10-week period. Amino acid L-carnitine lowers glucose and measurements of long-term glucose control called hemoglobin, right? Coenzyme 10 can improve blood sugar controls. Okay? Magnesium can cause as shown to reduce fasting glucose and hemoglobin A1C in type 2 diabetes. Cinnamon, put cinnamon in your food, contains unique polyphenols and enhances insulin sensitivity and facilitates cellular glucose uptake. Okay? Coffee berries, that's really good. So you can use that, and they come in with the green coffee beans, and that's very hard to get because it's limited growth on that. And then you can pulverize it and make it into a coffee bean extract, and then you can use it into your supplements. Okay. So the next level would be excess homocysteine. What is homocysteine? Well, a homocysteine is a breakdown product of amino acid, okay, most commonly found in meats. Those who consume high meat diet often have higher homocysteine levels. Excess homocysteine also occurs in many of the remethylation deficit and a deficit of enzymes. Okay, so what is the problem with this? If you take a drug, they say take this to reduce elevated homocysteine levels is vitamin B12, vitamin B6, or folic acid, and those can reduce the homocysteine areas in your body. Okay, so the next level is the next factor is factor 6, which is excess C-reactive proteins. And the optimal blood level is under 0.55 or 0.55 milligrams of C-reactive proteins in men, or under 1.50 milligrams of C-reactive protein in women. Okay, what is chronically elevated C protein levels indicate? You are suffering from a continuous systemic inflammatory state, right? And chronic, we talked about chronic, inflammatory damages every cell in the body. The chronic inflammation that occurs in the vascular wall is a significant cause of atherosclerosis and subject to heart attacks and stroke. So, C-reactive protein is produced in many cells throughout the body. The C-reactive protein that concerns us from a vascular risk standpoint is what is produced in the fat cells called adipocytes. And the liver in response to excess interleukin 6 released by abdominal fat that is dumped directly into the liver. So what is the nutrient dietary options? Okay, again the same thing, practically the same thing. Psyllium, beta-glucan, guar gum, pectin, and glucomannan. Those are pretty standard. And the dietary options is to lose weight in the abdominal area. Overweight and obese individuals often have significant higher C-reactive protein levels than lean people. Okay? Avoid consuming excess saturated fat and high glycemic load foods, sugar-containing foods. Okay, consume a low calorie diet of less than 1,400 calories a day. But some people cannot adhere to that very low diet. Okay, and inclusion of specific cholesterol-lowering food in one's diet can markedly lower LDL levels. Okay, cholesterol and C-reactive protein. So next one is factor 7. Now remember, we got 10 more. It's insufficient vitamin D. And a lot of doctors are now giving vitamin D as routine, either through intravenous or through the pill. And then some you have to find out if they're vitamin D or D1, D2 or D3. Okay. So vitamin D, and over 31 milliliters of 25 hydroxyl vitamin D. Okay. The optimum range is between 50 milliliters and 65 milliliters. Okay, vitamin D. Everybody knows that vitamin D helps protect bone. But in recent years, to lower the risk of many forms of cancer, people are using high vitamin D levels, and men with a low vitamin D often suffers from twice as many as women from heart attacks. Okay, so vitamin D also protects against heart disease through reducing chronic inflammation reactions and contributes to coronary arteriosclerosis. Okay. So the next level is factor 8 is insufficient vitamin K. And as you know, vitamin K is use proper supplements to correct insufficient vitamin K, and it helps to regulate proteins in the body that direct calcium to the bone and keep it out of the arterial wall. So low vitamin K status predisposes aging humans to artificial calcification, and you want to keep that calcification out of the bloodstream. So what's the nutrients? Okay, you can take vitamin K2, okay, and you can take vitamin K1, vitamin K2, and vitamin K2, okay, K1 and 2, okay, and you can mix it together. And you can take it like 1,000 megagrams of K1, 1,000 of K4, and 100 of K7, okay. So now we get into level, the next level, okay? The next level is pre-existing here. Okay, let's talk about the next level here, and that's optimal. So we get to here, and the next level is item 10, which is low blood EPA and DHA. So commercial EPA and DHA blood tests are very expensive and not readily available. So blood triglyceride levels may be used as a partial surrogate marker to ensure sufficient EPA and DPH intake, along with adjusting the daily supplements. And EPA and DHA relates to cold water fish, which have markedly lowers heart attack rates. Okay, so the next one is item 11 and 12, and that's low testosterone and excess estrogen in men. Okay, and what is the optimum level? 20 to 24 pg or ml of the free testosterone, men only, and women 20 to 30 pg or ml of estradiol, men only. Okay, so now, so aging males can suffer from dual consequences of declining testicular testosterone production, while testosterone may produce is often excessively converted into estrogen. So with men, testosterone is really important for the energy as well as maintaining the weight. If they start losing and get low levels of testosterone, they can start picking up weight around the belly area. Okay, so less testosterone. So next would be high attack risk would be number 13, and it'll be excess insulin. Okay, and so what is that? Optimal blood level. That's under 5 MCI units or ml of fasting insulin, difficult for aging people to achieve. Okay, so that's basically has a lot to do with the diet, and you can take some supplements for that. Aging people lose the ability to utilize insulin to effectively drive blood glucose into energy producing cells. As glucose levels rise in the blood, and pancreas compensates by producing more insulin. As insulin resistance worsens, even more insulin is secreted in a feeble attempt to restore glucose control. So the body cannot recognize the sugar in the body to control, and the pancreas cannot control the blood glucose level by producing the adequate amount of insulin. Okay, and some of the nutrients you can take. Okay, there's many different nutrients you can take. You can take oak beta-glucan, psyllium, guar gum, pectin, or glucomannan. Those are very pretty popular. Chromium, L-carnitine, or magnesium. These are some of the supplements you may take for this area here. And then getting to the next area would be, we're talking about the next area, a nitrous oxide deficit, number 14. And commercial blood tests are not available at affordable prices to assume nitrous oxide status. But people need nitrous oxide because nitrous oxide is required for healthy inner arterial wall, or called endothelial functions. Nitric oxide enables arteries to expand and contract with youthful elasticity and is vital to maintaining the structural integrity of the endothelium, thus protecting against atherosclerosis. So nitrous oxide, and you see nitrous oxide when you go ahead and get Viagra, those things, those are nitrous oxide, increases the blood flow in the system. Okay, so the age-related deficiency in endothelial-derived nitric oxide predisposes maturing humans today, an epidemic of heart attacks and stroke. Okay, so nitrous oxide is important, and the nutrients are, to boost nitrous oxide levels, are arginine. That's an amino acid. And a lot of people are on arginine now because they want to increase the nitric oxide to help prevent heart problems. Okay, now the next factor is item 15, is called excessive fibrinogen, less than 300 megabytes, milligrams rather, of fibrinogen. And many heart attacks and strokes are caused by blood clot that obstructs the flow of blood or to a portion of the heart or brain. When blood flow is interrupted, cells are deprived of oxygen and die, and that build up atherosclerotic plaque, increases the risk of abnormal blood clotting inside the arteries. Okay, so next would be the 16 is called hypertension, and that relates to systolic blood pressure should be under 115, and mm mercury Hg, and diastolic pressure should be under 76. Okay, And finally, you're going to have that, this is the number 16, and number 17 is the last one. And that basically has to do with the still heart, hypertension. Okay. And then how do you keep the risk of hypertension down? And you cannot detect this hypertension in the blood test. You have to take a blood pressure. So these are 17 factors that we've spelled out with. I know it's going to give you in a whole bunch and you can't remember them. So play this tape again. And you can get this by subscribing to Life Extension magazines, and you'll have a whole set of these parameters that you can read about more in detail and his diet. So anyhow, hope I gave you some information for your heart problems or prevention of heart problems, and so we'll see you in the next show.